Yeah, I saw that. Glad that it's getting fixed.
Yes, I wore a skirt
Ah,
thing.
right.
Yeah. Is the clicker working or no?
I passed control, so see if you can move the slides. Yep, looks like it.
Thank you. You're the best, Ned. All right. Have a good session. You're all good to go. So much. Okay, we are at time and we have a packed agenda. Thank you to Ned for pulling together our agenda and helping with agenda bashes. Thank you to both Usama and Thomas for volunteering to take minutes today. And I think we still need one more minute taker for tomorrow, so consider it. It's a really great, useful job and a way to contribute. Why don't we go to the first slide, please, on the note well?
I think you have control.
Oh, right. Thank you. All right. So here's the note well. You should read it ahead of sessions and ahead of any participation in the IETF to understand what a contribution means and to be able to make sure that you're able to follow the note well because it's required. I'll leave it here for a second and then move to the next slide. Code of conduct, behave, um, treat people professionally, extend respect and courtesy. We're working towards solutions for the global internet, so keep that in mind in terms of our goal set for work that comes out of a group, right? We're working to make things better. And be prepared to contribute to the ongoing work of the group. So with that, let me just see what the next slide is. Administrative tasks. So these are contribution methods. We have 2 note takers. Do we have I can watch the chat, but if somebody else wants to as well, Ned, you can too. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
More just in case I get busy up here. Thank you. Um, here are some resources. So RATS materials, if you go to the data tracker, you can find the sessions. The agenda is linked as well within the IETF agenda. And here is our agenda. So Ned and I were chatting, and we have a lot of work that needs to be done in this group. So before we begin, this is just a bit of administrivia. We would like to see more reviews come in. So we had some reviews that were requested or drafts that were requested to go to working group last call, and it was noted that they really didn't have enough reviews. If you have a draft, you would like to have it adopted, my recommendation is to begin doing reviews of other work because we need to clear out a number of documents that have been sitting a bit too long. So I encourage each of you to go and look at the list of documents and start reviewing as many as you can. If we're able to get good reviews on documents, we will be able to progress those, and then the working group can do new things. It will also give you a solid basis in the work so you know what's been done already and you're able to make more meaningful contributions. And this is something you should be doing around in different working groups because when you're helping other people, you're getting a better sense of the IETF. People are becoming familiar with you, and then they're also more likely to help you with your work when you're helping with theirs. So I highly recommend it. You learn a lot by doing reviews of other documents, even if you don't think that they're relevant to you now. They could be foundational for your draft and whatnot, but it'll help the working group and you're part of a working group. Ned, do you have anything to add for our logistics?
Yeah, so we've also are looking for people to participate as shepherds, do shepherd reviews. So that's a special sort of review where there's some steps and hoops you have to jump through to be a shepherd. But we're also looking for volunteers as shepherd reviewers too.
Yes. And so anyone who would like to be a document shepherd, there is a process to follow. There is a document template that you begin from. It requires doing a review of the document, understanding where it's at. And Ned and myself can help you get up to speed on becoming a shepherd as can other people in the working group. So we have several volunteers already, and we'd love some more. It's a great way to gain experience. It's a good thing to do before you seek like a working group chair role. It's something you should be very familiar with. Anything else? I think that's it, right?
So, yep.
Okay, here is our agenda. Are there any requested changes at this stage? And it's fairly tight. Ned, are you, I'm sorry, Hank, are you at the mic for a reason?
Yes, of course.
Ned, then go ahead, Hank.
Okay, and with respect to the Shepherd question, I solicited a Shepherd for the network device subscription IT, which is Michael Richardson. Would that be okay?
He would like to shepherd it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was proactively trying to help here a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you. Good. We want to move documents along. All right. So we are about a minute behind now, and we're going to the Concise Reference Integrity Manifest. Yogesh, you have 20 minutes?
Yeah, I think, yeah, thank you. I wanted to check who is going to share the slides. Normally, chairs share the slide, but let me know if you want me to share the slides.
Yeah, can you share?
Okay, let me try. I mean, of course, I can share. I just wanted to check whether the sharing comes along well or not. So I have requested screen share. I don't see my screen popping up. I have requested a screen share.
All right, let
It's
me.
coming. It's coming. It says a new deck is being shared. Nope, it's gone.
Let me try to share it. I'll give you the
Thank you,
clicker.
Ned. I can click for you. Just Yogesh, you tell me when to move it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for providing us the. Thank you, Rats Chairs, for providing us opportunity to present Concise Reference Integrity Manifest. Just those who are new to IETF Rats Working Group. Yeah, Concise Reference Integrity Manifest is a standard for supplying endorsements and reference value to a remote attestation verifier, and we acknowledge all the hard work done by our co-authors and contributors. So we acknowledge it. Thank you to all that. So we have listed them here.
Okay, so I gave you screen control. Do you see it? It should be on the bottom. No, the slides.
Yeah.
You see
Okay.
it? It's
Okay.
yours.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Yeah. So, so what have we achieved since IETF 123 when we presented the same topic last time? So obviously we are going for working group last time as well. So we requested a lot of people in the community, Rats community, to request for review, and they were very kind. So we received a good review feedback since the last time. Many people have read the document, provided valuable comments, and we're going to talk about that in the next slide. Apart from that, as usual, the work is receding in Corim because the document is maturing. So the number of issues we have closed, 13 issues closed, is mostly to kind of address the comments coming from the community on the document. In that process of 13 issues, we have resolved 20 pull requests. And I want to reiterate again, as from coming from the last IETF, is that the feature set is frozen. So no new features or no new requirements taken on board. So that's, and we had requested a feedback for directorate reviews, like security review or operational review, but that is awaited. And I take this opportunity to request Rats chairs, if they can please initiate the feedback process on those lines, because I think they are the best people to request these reviews.
Okay, we have Deb, our AD, in the queue.
So what reviews do you want? I mean, we can request early reviews now if you want them.
Yeah.
And what
So,
reviews do you want?
So there's one is a
SecArt
security.
and Ops.
Yeah. So,
So
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't see them on the draft now. They have not been requested yet, but we
Okay.
can do that. In fact, I can probably do that right now.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Deb. And of course, the review cycle is open. So I want to highlight that any further feedback from the community, in addition to Sec Art Ops, is always welcome. And we always appreciate people reading the document and helping us improve it even further.
Okay, so folks know how to review a document, right? If you're not comfortable with GitHub, put it to the list. It's totally fine to do that.
Yeah, we made a conscious effort. Whoever send the comments on the RATS mailing list, we always create a GitHub issue and track it. So that's where exactly I was going next.
Perfect.
So
They'll create the issue for you in the GitHub. So just send it to the list and please get your reviews in.
So as you can see, we acknowledge these reviewers who reviewed the document, and I would especially mention some of them created the issues and helped contribute to the pull request. So they are like kind of editors to the document as well, which is further even better. So we got Hannes, Giri, Jack, Jeremy, Stephen Belloc, Michael, and Sergey from reviewing the document, and this is the issue and the pull request associated with that. And if you see, most of the comments have been addressed and the issues have closed, but there are few open, and we are working towards completing it in the next few weeks or months. Yeah. So review feedback is still a work in progress. So the key highlights from the last session is we have added a support for of CWT claims in the COSE header, and why we did that I will explain in the next slide. And then as part of the review comment, we added a clear diagram to highlight the flow of Quorum verifier, which was part of the feedback. And we did a lot of documentation, tidy up, nits, kind of making things clear. And we added further explanation or further clarification on verifier stages, like what the staging area means in the document. So there was a request explicitly coming to make our draft interoperable with the IETF existing standard, IETF standard SKIT, which has kind of almost close to the RFC stage, which also has a means of pushing transparent statements into a SKIT append on the log, which is a COSE sign one. Quorum is also COSE sign one. So we made sure that we interop so that we enhance the Quorum meta map, which deals with entities that create and sign the Quorum, and the validity of contents through the expiration to be interoperable with the SKIT header claims. So we added CWT claims, which are part of the protected header of the COSE sign one, has been allowed to be introduced in the specification Quorum draft. So validity can be expressed now using standard CWT claims, not before an expiry. And the current CDDL supports both legacy meta format, which was there since the RFC 9597 came much late. Quorum work started much earlier. So we had to start with something. So we started that, but we realized that now the RFC 9597 is stable. We kind of adopted this. And the current draft supports both the formats, both the mechanisms, but obviously the claims, CWT claims, is the preferred way, and we advise the community members to use this as the preferred way. So this is just a snapshot of the CDDL. I'm not going to kind of go a lot deeper into this, but I just wanted to highlight that the initial Quorum meta code 0.8 still exists, but in addition to that, there was a claims identity CWT claims code 0.15 being added to the CDDL. And this is the kind of interesting flow we have added to show the Quorum verifier processing flow, which was quite a valuable addition to the document, where we see the external actors, the reference values and endorsed values being pushed into the Quorum processing engine. So the first stage is the validating the input. We check the signature and who is the signer, and if it is as per the policy, then we take the Quorum, take out and do an internal translation and move it into an internal representation and move it into a staging area. which has multiple ECTs. ECT stands for Environment Claims Tuple. Subject is the environment, claims is the associated claims. So there could be reference value claims, endorsed value claims, and conditional endorsed value claims, etc. And when the appraisal is started, when the evidence is pushed into the appraisal claim set, then the ACS matching conditions are checked, and then the FCTs are added into the appraisal claim set. And upon condition, policy is applied, and the quorum appraisal adds the stuff into an output transformation. So this is a kind of a high-level flow of how things move in quorum. We wanted to kind of, as part of the review feedback, as I mentioned, we added this flow because we felt it is quite useful to have this in the document. And thanks to Jeremy for pointing this out. Yeah, apart from that is a short presentation. Authors duly acknowledge with gratitude the community members who had review feedbacks as well as some edits, and the list is here. Paul, others I've already mentioned. So thank you so much for all your contribution to the document, and the document has become quite is still in a very good shape. And so we request for I think that's all from my side. Thank you. We request for any questions anyone has.
We have Gary in the queue.
Okay. Otherwise, okay.
This is Gary Mundy, Advanced Micro Devices. This isn't really a question for you, Yogesh. This is more a question for the chairs. Do we need to go through the normal sequence of WGLC and then initiate IESG review? Can we do something concurrent, particularly with some IESG reviewers that we know may have some potentially critical and impactful feedback to the specification?
The order for the reviews is very intentional. It goes through the working group. The working group is responsible to form some sort of consensus around the document, right? And it's very important that the working group finishes first. You can request early directorate views, and those directorate views might get the attention of the area director. They might not. So you're just worried that you'll get a discuss later on?
Yes.
It happens. Discusses happen. Sorry. The directorate review should help reduce that. A thorough working group review, encouraging all of your colleagues here to review the document, should help to find problems. If you think there's an expert in a different area that you think should review it, ask them, especially during working group, IETF last call, because that's when you get the cross area review before it goes to Deb for her AD review. Or no, I think you do your AD review before IETF last call.
Okay.
So the IETF last call is supposed to get that cross area review you're looking for to help prevent discusses.
So an early review is not going to get the attention of any AD anywhere, not even me, mostly. And so what it does, though, is it gives you a review of your draft, which you can then update and make better, so that when ADs do review it, maybe they will have fewer comments. And when you get last call reviews or telechat reviews, there's less to find. So the goal is, of course, to make the specification better so that you get fewer comments later on. Whether that works or not, just depends.
And a method that works for a lot of people is watch for those AD reviews when it is in the IESG queue, because if it's fresh in their brain and you can respond quickly, then you might be able to resolve things more quickly.
Oh my God, this is so true. Can I just tell you? I review something, I write comments on it, and 30 seconds later, gone. So, I mean, you don't have to be that quick. So, but it does help to review things promptly, because it's more likely that an AD's, unlike, I mean, some ADs have better memories. Paul's memory is way better than mine, but yeah, right. Well, so it does not pay to wait to address IESG reviews, because in the meanwhile, we'll have read 400 more pages on other drafts and we will have forgotten yours. So it has to go back and remember it. So, but early reviews are a good thing. The whole goal is to make the specification the best it can be before you publish it, right? So early reviews let you do that. If there are areas that you know that you have, like if there's anything that's like HTTP related, should get an HTTP director review, because those things are not necessarily in our wheelhouses right away all the time. So it's all just good, makes it better. That's the goal.
Okay, we're going to close the queue. So Usama, and please make it quick, otherwise we're going to get behind.
Yeah, very quick. I wanted to ask Giri whether there is some urgency so we can prioritize it and give you early reviews.
I can't hear who's someone's talking in the room. I can't hear them.
Yes, no problem.
They're going to the mic for that
Yeah.
very reason.
Sorry about that. Since it was asked of me, there are active implementations and dependencies in the industry on this specification coming to a stable state. And that's why I was, I'm a little less concerned about WGLC because as Yogesh pointed out, we've already had active reviews and we've had the weekly quorum calls, and they've been robustly I shouldn't say fixing, improving the spec. I think it's what happens afterwards that's a little bit of an unknown.
Right, Ned, can you please pull up the next deck? Osama's done. Hank, do you have a comment you need to add on this, or can we move on?
So I think I proposed Michael, or I called Michael, because that was the only draft that was sitting there for like 7 months without moving, because only the AD, the Shepard write-up for the AD was missing. That's why there was no progress, I think. And I think the other ones that I've already assigned Shepards, I think the urgent ones are good now.
Ned, are you able to pull up the next
I
deck?
can't. It's locked. I don't know if Yogesh has to relinquish control or something.
I don't have any kind of relinquish control button here.
Deb has done it.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's starting to be long. My name is Jean-Pierre Fizet. I'm representing my co-authors, Mike, Anis, Monty, Hank, and Ned. This is the work called PKIX Evidence for Remote Attestation of Hardware Security Modules. That's a long title. Anyway, let's get to it. What's happened since Madrid? Basically, we've removed the concept of root of trust from the specification. It was not helping. It was causing a lot of landmines and explosions left and right. So we just removed it. We aligned the attribute definitions. So attributes in this, you have to think of them as claims. And we'll explain a bit later why. We've aligned this with the definition we found in EAT. Being a lazy engineer, I'd rather have somebody else do the writing and just point to it. Same thing with PKCS 11, where this is an ASN1 specification. I know this is not the most popular in this room, but basically we're trying to reuse the PKCS 11 like definition as well. General care and maintenance, we've opened and closed a lot of issues. Thank you to Michael for his guidance on some stuff. Also, Jeff Anderson at Google contributed quite a bit, good review. So we're continuing our bi-weekly meetings. So if you guys want to join, you're welcome. Here I'm going to try to make a bit of a sales pitch. Why should you guys be interested in this? These guys on their corners are doing ASN1. So the first contribution I think is valuable to the group is the role of presenter. We introduced that back in Madrid, and basically it's easier to look at a picture. In all the diagrams in 9334, basically the attester sends evidence to the verifier, and the reality in HSM or other crypto modules, they're just slaves to a client. And so somebody has to initiate this work. And the presenter in this case does not have a cryptographic state in the whole thing. It basically asks for the attestation to be produced, the evidence, and then passes it on to verifier. Why it's important to define this is because even though the presenter doesn't have a cryptographic involvement in the distribution of the evidence, it certainly is able to select what evidence is actually produced, right? And so in some circumstances inside HSM, there are things you want to disclose, other things you don't want to disclose and stuff like that. So that's the first contribution. I think it's important to this group. The second one is the fact that an HSM is a very large targeting environment. And so the evidence that we produce is not complete. In the use case we're looking at is we're trying to attest a key. While an HSM can have thousands of keys. And so we don't want to start, as part of evidence, disclosing information that could have potentially some confidentiality issues and stuff like that. And so the presenter in this case decide what portion of the addressable state that is disclosed. So Usama, you have a question? Go ahead.
Just a clarification question on the last slide. If you go back one slide, please.
Sure.
So is this attestation service the attesting environment? So
Osama, if let's let him finish the presentation. Okay. If you haven't worked with HSMs, it might be a bit confusing, so it might require an offline conversation. I'm also happy to help with that, having had experience.
Okay, because we have a large addressable state, we don't want to show everything. We kind of have to carve it out. And the reason is two keys could have the exact same claims. And so we've come up with a nomenclature that's not ideal. So these portions that we're trying to measure or make claims about, we call entities. And so a key could be an entity. You could have thousands of keys. A platform is also an entity. We're looking at other objects such as user modules. Then entities themselves are associated with attributes. These attributes are very much like what you think of claims. And keys and platforms are, and the responsibility associated with the presenter I talked about. So the division of the target environment is necessary. It prevents collisions. It helps comprehension when we review the evidence that is being produced. And obviously, as we saw in the previous slide, somebody needs to say what portion should be part of the evidence. So what we're up to in the next little while. So we're going to be adding support for user modules. This is an important concept inside HSM. EAT already has stuff like that in their specifications. We're going to try to borrow from those concepts. This morning, I presented an EKU. We're going to be relying on this basically to create X509 certificates saying this key is meant for attestation. And we're trying to complete a functional implementation. So my corporation already has something that works similar to this, but it's not standard yet. Mike is creating something in Rust, right? Yes, sure. So the dream of every author is to reach last call one day. So we're hoping to get that as well. Okay, so what can you guys do for us if you decide to review this work? So the concept of an evidence made out of entities made out of attributes, it is not necessarily language that flows very well within the RATs, right? However, I'm trying to be careful to not pick up nomenclature that's gonna create, landmines and stuff like that. So we were considering changing entity to subject. Jeff Anderson suggested that, but we'd really like you guys to review this to give your opinion, right? Also, the role of presenter, if you look at at a specification that introduce a new role as part of RATs, inside a specification really meant for ASN1 and HSM, it might not be the best place. And I'm wondering if we should take the role of presenter out, right, and put it somewhere else and then point to it. And I know Michael is doing other work that has to do with presenter. So maybe we collaborate and put all these concepts together. And that's it for me. So here are the links that you guys can follow, and I'm sure you know how to get there. Comments, question? Queue's empty.
I'm going to say Dave Thaler's question. I think so I'll just repeat it, and it might help others in the room. My possibly wrong understanding is that HSMs protect the keys, but can't actually attest to the correctness of anything outside the HSM. Is that correct?
That the HSM cannot, can you say that again?
It protects the keys, but it in itself doesn't do attestation services. So I rephrased his, I'll read exactly what he said again. I believe he's right with the statement. So my possibly wrong understanding is that HSMs protect the keys, but can't actually attest to the correctness of anything outside the HSM. It doesn't perform attestation services.
That is
itself.
correct. It
Yeah.
cannot attest. An attester has to have direct observation of what it's going to report. And so everything, the HSM can only attest to what it sees. That is correct.
Hank?
Yeah, hi, this is Hank. So I have to say that we have to might enhance the definition of a presenter, that it can create evidence, because per definition, only attesters can create evidence.
Yep.
And unfortunately, RFC 934 says that an attester consists of at least one attesting environment and at least one target environment. And we just established, and I'm an author, I know this, that there's no attesting environment here. So nobody can create evidence.
Right.
Okay, so this is okay. So here we have an attestation service and a target environment that looks at it, right? It's all within the HSM. So the attester sees the HSM. Depending on your environment, like you would have like a secure boot and stuff like that. So the attesting environment, the target environment is the same, which led to the question of whether it's a root of trust or not, right? And then that just went on debating. We were trying to avoid that because it may or may not be.
Yeah. And
it may or may not help this specification.
And that is different what you said before. So different, we said there's no attesting environment. And now we're saying there's no isolation between them. And that is something, I guess, that still has to go into the text, because otherwise it's not an attester, then we don't have any evidence,
Hank,
and then we have a
I've
problem.
been trying to nail you down like all those months to try to get to the bottom of this. I would love input and help, right? But yeah, these are some of the landmines that we don't want to get. We don't want to trip over, right? Absolutely.
Okay, just two remarks. So the first remarks is that so for the I found that for the attestation request is quite interesting, and I do find that in the 934 there's not a formal specification that how we should send the attestation request, while in other working groups like attestation over ad hoc, they do have the messages like attestation request. And in our draft key negotiation, also we want to have some specification on that, and that part I think is quite interesting. And the second part, I think that there's some similarity between the presenter in this draft with the leader attester in the composite attester class in certain class. So just these two remarks. Okay.
I'm always afraid of doing ad lib, right? But as we talk in the hallway, basically presenters should not have a cryptographic transformation in there. The presenter really selects, so the presenter can take evidence and move it. I think it lead the testers got more role than that. I think we just have to review, and I think it'd be worth getting a bunch of people together to
Yeah.
a more solid definition of what a presenter is.
Yes. Also, that what is the messages between between the attester and the presenter and presenter to verify. Means sometimes I've seen that there are two roles. It's some kind it's like the attesting result, and another kind is like evidence.
So the document will present a format, a potential format, which is optional as an attestation request.
He's eating it.
You guys can't hear this?
Is there a switch on it? Okay.
Anyway, I'm out of time, so.
We have this one too, so I can. Yep. I think he's done. We're out of time.
Anyway, thank you guys.
Thank you. All right, next presenter, please. Ned is pulling up your deck. Remote attestation with multiple verifiers.
Okay, c'est un X. Okay. Bonjour, bienvenue à Montreal. So allow me to present the update of draft remote attestation with multiple verifiers. So next page.
I gave you control.
So in the last IETF, we have the question that what is the scope of this draft? So we want to make it clear in this IETF. So for the motivation and use cases and architectures and sure, the security and privacy consideration and trust relationship and professional consideration is within this scope. And for the discovery and selection of the verifiers, it is important, but temporary. We think that it is out of scope of this draft. And for the message format between verifiers, so we think that it is can use the conceptual message wrapper, but temporary. We think that it is out of scope of this draft. Okay, next page. Okay. So we have some update of the team. So after last IETF, we are happy to receive new members to our biweekly meetings. Stephen from NVIDIA and Gada from Orange. So thanks for their contribution in the draft and informational discussion. Okay, so here I will basically have a brief talk about what's update since the last version. So we have taken into the consideration of from the RAT's mailing list and the GitHub. So we have update provide two more use cases in this draft, and we have update the sections of the security consideration and privacy consideration largely. So actually now there are two sessions, and we have update some terms. So for related to the multiple verifier architectures, and so with some correction of the typos to improve the readiness of the draft. Okay, next page. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, so in the security consider part, we can consider the adversary models at the node side at the lead verify or intermediate verifiers, and possible attacks between on the links, like the eavesdropping of the packets and manipulation of the packets and man-in-the-middle attacks. So because we have considered the three patterns, the hierarchical patterns, cascade pattern, and hybrid one. So for the general security considerations, there are two bullet points. The first thing that all the communications between the verifiers must be secured following the CIA methodology. And also, between the verifiers, they need to have the mutual attestation to ensure that they are trustworthy. And the threat theory was considered for each patterns. In the hierarchical one, we consider that the possible, so we'll briefly talk about that, is the compromisation of the verifiers, the leader verified, which is the... It's this one. Okay. And eavesdropping of the message, eavesdropping manipulation of the messages means that the evidence and partial attesting result between verifiers. And for the cascade pattern, which is the case that the verifier will form a chain. So we consider the possible threats of the compromise of the verifiers, means that because all the verifiers in this such case is equal, and the eavesdropping and manipulation of the messages between verifiers or the manipulation of the messages at each verifiers. And for the hybrid patterns, so yes, we will need to consider both kind of threats, and we'll provide the suggested mitigation methods for these threats. So for the part of the security consideration, we'll put a separate section about that. So because we need to, if there exist multiple verifiers, we need to transmit the partial evidence and or partial attestation results between the verifiers. So there's a risk of the leak sensitive informations, especially can be such kind of informations can be the configurations of the attester, the identity of the attester, and the composition of the attester. And so we have provided the suggestion of the mitigation to reduce such kind of risks. So so we can see that encryption is one method to recommend it to reduce the risk. And we can already see that in the 9334, this is already an option method and to reduce the privacy leakage. And we can see that in the draft, in the RADs, in the ACME, they also already have taken into the consideration of the encryption to provide avoid the leakage of the information. And we want to clarify that, so for the evidence between the attester and the reading party, this is out of the scope of this draft because we are more focusing on the interactions between the verifiers. So I will provide the two use cases that we provide in this new draft. So the first case is the verification of the attester that consider the multiple components. So one component is the classic one, the CPU, and the other components can be the accelerated component like the GPU, TPU, and NPU. So due to the organization policies, so these verifies for the CPU owner and for the GPU owner, they be deployed in different places and it's owned by different vendors. Actually, this is the state of the art of certain scenarios currently. So I will present in such cases how we can organize these kind of verifies. Okay.
Do you want to take questions now? Or?
Yes, I have 2 minutes. You can.
Okay, so
question.
just a clarification question on the CPU and GPU. A long-standing concern that I still have is why are the vendors not willing to release their policies? So the ecosystem that we want to develop is open source. So anybody can just verify those. Anybody can access these requirements which one has, and then build the verifiers so that they are independently verifiable. So one doesn't have to rely on, for example, that NVIDIA keeps its policies and I don't know what these policies are. And so my question maybe at a high level is why is it the case that the policies are not available to a verifier, which is integrated verifier versus having separate verifiers?
The policy itself is kind of IP. They do not want to let others know. This is simple as that.
Shall I answer that, Usama? Is that okay? So,
Sure, Yogesh.
it's not just about policy. As you can see, there is a complexity involved in the verification as well as there is a cost of infrastructure. That's what is also one of the important points to the consideration here, right? I don't want to kind of understand neither combined verifier may not have the right CPU resources or cost to burden for something which is not not really its own territory to judge. So there are many possible reasons for that, and we are specified these possible reasons here.
Thank you, Yugash. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
So,
we can move on. Yeah.
okay. So in this page, I will present the hierarchical patterns for this first use case. So you can see that from the, I can point. I can point this, or I need to point. Yeah. Okay. So you can see that for the attest agent, we will collect the component evidence from the CPU and the GPU and generate the composite evidence, which it is the large evidence, and then we'll send to this ruling party in the background check mode. So this ruling party will send this composite evidence to the leader verifier. So the leader verifies, we assume that it knows how to extract the component evidence from these composite evidence, and he knows the corresponding verifiers that can do the appraisal. So we'll send the corresponding evidence to these verifiers, and they do the appraisal for these component evidence separately, and then we'll generate the partial evidence. And this partial evidence will be collected at the leader verifier side, and then it will generate the aggregate attesting result, and then it will send it back to the ruling party. So from the ruling party side, actually, for all these systems, it does not need to know the complexity behind that because it just contact with this leader verifier. And so I will show that for the same use case, we can have the cascade pattern so that there's a chain of the verifiers. So when the attester send the composite evidence to the ruling party, he will send to the first verifier, and the first verifier will extract do the appraisal for the component evidence that it knows. So it will only do the appraisal for the evidence related to the CPU, and will generate the partial attesting result, and it will take turns to send to the next verifier. And the last verifier will generates its own partial attesting result and generate aggregated attesting result and send it back to the first verifier in the reverse order. And the first verifier will send the aggregated attesting result back to the ruling party. So the second use case is the verification of the workload in the confidential computing case. And so in this case, we have two components to inside this attester to be attested, which is the workload and the platform. So in this case, one example is that the ruling party is the key management system, so that once this attester is attested, it will send this key to this attester so that you can use this key to decrypt the large language model or the data. So in certain cases, the privacy of the workload and platform is as a concern. Then in this case, this evidence should be encrypted to protect the privacy. And we can show that similarly that we can apply the hierarchical pattern or cascade pattern for this use case. So in last IETF, so we have received, when we talk about who was willing to contribute to this work, we have received 8 votes because it's in the late afternoon that we are just before everyone wants to go, so that 8 is, I think 8 is already sufficient to see that there's interest in the working group. And we would like to see that whether it's possible to issue a call for adoption to recount the positive feedback received in last IETF. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the work?
It was fixed. So thank you. At the start of the session, I said we would try to clear out some documents before we adopt new. So I welcome you to review existing documents in the queue. And I would love to see fast progress on getting a whole bunch out before the next meeting and then adopting new work. We could get a feel of the room to see if this is something, once we clear out work, that folks are interested in. So see if we get a poll. So I do mean that as one question. Are you interested to do the work here? Should we adopt this in the future? I see one no. Would that person like to get up at the mic?
Yeah, sure. So I have concerns over this. I have expressed it over the list over a few meetings, and I'm not convinced that this does not um, work in rats in a sense that it increases the security and privacy problems.
Thank
Okay,
you. And
thank you.
you have said that on list. So we're at 17, 16 yeses, 1 no, 6 no opinions. So I think this looks pretty good. Let's clear out work, and then people will also have more brain space to think about this. And the more you review drafts, you'll be ready to review these more complex drafts.
So I have a question. So that can you give us the list that which kind of document is more urgent to review from your point of view?
Yes. Yes, we can do that, and you can also review them based on their dependencies, right? So the earlier the draft, the better to review.
Yeah.
Thomas?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
Thomas, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that I've just started an implementation of the lead verifier in Verizon to support this the hierarchical model, and I want to use it to experiment a bit with this pattern, mixing a CPU attester using ARM-CCA and a device possibly with NVIDIA. I want to start, looking at the practicalities of this and exploring the formats of the aggregated attestation results, especially. I will keep you posted on the progress, but I mean, it's on our roadmap, Verizon-wise. Just want to say that.
Excellent. Thank you. Hank?
Yeah, so this might sound a little bit weird, but we were asking for adoption the last time, and what was it? 1, 2, 3?
IETF 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I get the numbers
It's
confused
on
right
the
now.
slide.
Exactly. So we successfully moved 2 IDs out already. Do these count? Because they are RFC now. So UCCS and the EAT media types are not in the adopted state as adopted item anymore. We actually moved some out already, and would that count into that moving stuff out, or doesn't that count?
Let's do some more work and get some more moved out.
Okay.
We're not moving quick enough.
Okay.
I really need to motivate, and I think we can do it. I have faith in all of you. We can get those reviews in and make huge progress. I am fully confident.
But then I needed tiny more details. So does a ID have to move out, or is sufficient review the thing that you want?
Yeah. So if a document doesn't have sufficient review, when the shepherd takes a look at it, we will try to get that sufficient review, or we could issue a working group last call and see if it comes in through that. Right, and then we just.
But it has
make
to
sure
move
gets
out.
addressed.
So it has to go to ISG ballot. That is
Yes, we want to be done. We want.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to finish, and this looks really good. We have 19 people saying yes now, so I'm not too worried about this being adopted.
No, I'm not. Also,
clear out the
that's
queue.
because we want to align it with the implementation. Yeah, but it's we can do this in parallel. That's fine.
Yeah, let's just push these documents out. Let's do a big push.
And
Thank you.
yeah.
Osama?
Yeah. So I would like that before we adopt, we have proper security considerations and privacy considerations. And
Yep, sure. Please help with those, right?
Yeah,
Contributions. and outcomes.
Osama, I would like to, I think jumping queue, Hank, you are.
Oh, sorry. I want to maybe directly replying to Osama that it is best, Osama, if when you feel something's missing, to actually also do the review and the PR. that really helps. It removes a lot of, I want to say, abstraction loops of understanding what your field is missing. And then it would help to have a very concrete and specific PR that we can work on so that we can expedite this. Does that sound fine?
So Hank is saying suggest text directly when you're making comments. It does help get your stuff in quicker, and being polite also helps get your stuff in quicker because people will respond to you quicker. They don't have to cool down.
So I wholeheartedly support what Hank just said. In fact, thanks, Osama. Like, we have considered n number of different threats to address the security and privacy concern, which was earlier highlighted. That has improved the draft significantly. But we are not saying that it is perfect. If you think that one or two threats more are possibly envisaged, please highlight them, as well as happy to accept a pull request from you, as pointed by Hank. So would love a pull request from you on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think we're a few seconds over, so we're going to move on.
Okay, so
Well done.
Okay, thank you. So the first thing that I want to make a correction. So this is for the integration of this work is a call for interest rather than a call for adoption. Okay, so next, yes. So this work is the integration of the remote attestation with key negotiation and distribution. So this is a joint work from Huawei and with Usama and Hank and other colleagues. So I want to present the change from the last version. So we have one more use case is the large language model deployment in the private network. And we add the key binding mechanisms to prevent diversion attack. So that is the attacks that deliver the information and key to the unintended users. And so we have to add some descriptions that once we have the key received at the attester side, how we use that to establish the TLS or IPsec sessions. And so we have some reference to the existing project trustee for the real use case of the key distribution. And we have add some initial consideration for the security consideration. So the goal is actually to have some lightweight solutions to combine the key management mechanisms like key distribution and key negotiations with remote attestation together. So combined with the attested TLS is more light, and it can be integrated with other protocol as well. So the key idea is that inside the REDS messages, actually is the evidence and attesting result. We want to provide some bindings between such messages with attested ID. Actually, it's the raw public key or the certificate to prevent diversion attack. Okay, so we have in current draft, we consider three use cases. The first use case is that in the public cloud, that the users need to be attested to get the corresponding key to decrypt the information so that you can use the data or use the large language models. So the second case is that so for the users to use the LM inference, he need to send his sensitive to the TE so that he need to have secure channels between self and the TE. And the third case is actually similar to the first use case, but the difference is that in this case, the large language model is deployed in the private network in the enterprise, so that the key management systems is inside the enterprise, is not the public available, but the goal is similar that the ruling parties want the attester to be attested so that he can send the corresponding key to the attester. So following is the detailed diagram of these three use cases. So actually, we starting to consider the passport mode so that when the attester send information, which is the evidence to the verifier. He need to embed its attest ID inside this evidence. And the verifiers need to, when after he do the appraisal of this evidence, he will embed the same attest ID inside the attesting result. So when the attester send these attesting results to the reviewing parties, and the reviewing party can first, he will use his own policies to check whether he can send the key to the attester, and then he will he will extract the key from the attest ID to secure the key distributed to the attester. So in this case, actually, there's not need to have the guarantee that there's a secure channel between the attester and the reviewing party. And so for the background check mode, we're seeing that it does not require extension to the RAS protocol. So we do not need to have the binding between the attestation and the key management in this scenario. So for the second scenario is that the attester and the reviewing parties want to negotiate a certain key based on the ECDHE key negotiation, so that they have their own private key, and they will send their public key to the reviewing party. And so the public key and attest ID will be embedded inside the evidence and also inside the attestation result, so that the reviewing parties know that who he is contacting, and will use this information to construct the session key. And this session key is protected by, is encrypted by the attest, the key represented by the attest ID. And currently, we only consider the passport mode, and we'll consider the background check mode in the future. And also in this case, so that there's messages sent from the reviewing party to the attester, which is the attesting request. So I think that this part is also interesting, and we want to see that how to have some uniform definitions of the attestation request, because we have already seen that in the remote attestation over ad hoc, they already defined the attestation request messages. And for the third use case is similar to the first one. The only difference is that the reviewing party and which is the key management system is inside the private network. And so the same strategy of the first use case applies here. So as a future work, we'll see how to redefine the messages exchanged between the attester, verify, and the reviewing parties, and we'll consider how to define the case use case tools, how to add the background check mode, and maybe we need to learn some lessons from the remote attestation of ad hoc. So, and because currently we just initiate the part of the security and privacy consideration, and in the next step, we will improve, try to improve this part. And we think that this is within the scope of the RAS group, and we want to see that whether there are more comments and suggestions for this work. Thank you.
Okay, we have Thomas in the queue.
Hi. June, thanks very much for the presentation. On the attestation request message that you had at one of the slides before, I suggest you look at the RATSD API that we're developing in Verizon, which is exactly that bit. Maybe you can help us, nail down the requirements. We have an open API document to specify that interaction, but let's talk and make sure that what we have fits your use case as well.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Jean-Pierre Fizet, Crypto4A. On page 1, you claim that basically it improves performance. I haven't seen a lot of places where adding more processes does this. So how do you come to performance enhancement?
So actually, so because there's two ways for the binding. One is the channel binding, like the attest TLS. One is the key binding, like in this work. So I think the one thing that it is not specified, it's fine not need to specify the protocols. So that means that this mechanism is applicable to TLS, to IPsec, and it's only running in the layer of the attestation. That you do not need to have the binding with other protocols explicitly. I think that this is one advantage.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a question. You have here comparison with a tested TLS, that it's more lightweight implementation.
Yeah.
That was moved into its own working group. So why would this draft come here?
So for this draft, I think that it addressed the problems of the one is,
Go closer to the mic, I think.
yeah. So I think that these provide the solutions that will solve these problems to prevent the diversion attacks only in the plan of the attestation. That it does not need to consider the other protocols. So it's a pure attestation layer solution.
How many people have read the draft, just a show of hands? Real hands. I guess that leaves out people remote, so I'll put it in the queue as well. Okay. Because I don't think it's fair necessarily to do a call for adoption if people aren't as
And it's
familiar.
not call for adoption, it's a call for interest.
Call for interest.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Okay, so we've had 6 people read the draft. All right, so I can. All right, great. So I'll terminate this and see how many are interested in this for a future adoption. Oh, excuse my typo. I do that one all the time. Okay, so 5, 6. Okay, so everyone that read it is interested in possible adoption. And there's no no's yet. Osama?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify your question, Kathleen, a little bit more on June's explanation as an author. Yes, it's correct that the tested TLS work has moved to seat, but here we are not defining a specific protocol. So as to say, this is perfect fit with the RATS working group work. So we have no TLS, nothing at all. Whatever is in the protocol level layer, so we are working on top of that, and it should be usable for others and a guidance document to how to establish for key management.
Okay, great. Thank you. It sounds like there is potential interest, so let's get a lot of work done. And then we can revisit this. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next presentation. Ned is helping with that. Thank you, Ned.
And it works. Oh, yes, it works, right? I hear myself. I realized after my cat theme that this was rats working group. And then I was like, what did I do this wrong? I was just thinking about tails, not the rats are on the other side of it. But this is what I think of a composite attester, is a bunch of cats trying to go in the wrong direction. Okay, so this document showed up at the last meeting after a side meeting, and I realized we were all using different terms, and so there you go. So we did define this thing that called the composite attester in 9334. Well, this diagram is accurate. There's nothing wrong about it. It just does not inclusive enough of the many different ways in which people wanted to do this, and the multi-verifier to conversation made that very, very clear that nobody knew exactly what was talking about what's going on. So, so far we have 7 classes there, some lettered, possibly we should have more, possibly we should have less. So I want to go through all the diagrams. We've added diagrams to them. If you have very, very short clarifying questions, please ask them. Otherwise, I have 2 slides for you to argue about. So please wait for those if you can. I'm Dr. Zeus fan, so there you go. So class 0. Class 0 is not a composite attester at all. It's not complicated at all. You should think about a 286, where you might want to generate evidence about the VGA ROM or the network boot ROM, and you would do that over the bus, right? The electrically bus that everything's connected to, that no one can lie to, because you would know, because the blue smoke would either get out or the CPU would notice. So that's not a thing at all. But the important part about this is that you might generate evidence on multiple pieces that are different. And so you wouldn't want to combine them all, such that if you happen to switch video cards, your reference values for your boot ROM would no longer look right. And actually, I wanted to put a diagram, and I failed with it. It's like, why would you even care about this today? Well, go look in your virtual machine configurator and look what peripherals are available when you don't do paravirtualization, and you'll see it's the ones from the 1990s are the ones that are there, because they were simple and stupid and easy to emulate, right? So if you have a VM, you might have a VGA card from Cyrus, right, with a boot ROM that does stuff, and so it's there, still there. So class 1, that's what's in the diagram. This is slightly changed from there to clarify a few points, that it's evidence from a tester B and C, and you put it together maybe in a CMW, but that's just for the diagram to give you an example. I think we've gone back and forth about which box has the words lead attester and which one has the composite attester. One author said I got it wrong. I said, no, that's the diagram in the document right now. But if you think it's wrong, you're probably right. So, okay, we move some labels around for that. That goes. So that's that part. So let's go to number 2. Number 2, again, we have 2 component attesters, but in this case, we run a verifier within the attester A, the lead attester. Is it in a TEE? Probably. Is it part of the target environment? Possibly. Is it a process running on the system? Yes. Is it secured? Yes, because the tester environment A has, been measured and evaluated for that. So there's many ways of skinning that cat. Just don't worry too hard about that. It has to be done. Okay. The important part is it runs locally, which means it has to have reference values. Think CORIM document, etc., blah, blah, blah. It has to have them locally, doesn't talk to the internet, doesn't expose that business, and it produces attestation results signed by lead attester, which go up to the verifier. So there's some difference in there. That's not evidence, it's attestation results. Keep that in mind. So now we have a composite involving a background check, and it looks very, very similar, and you'll see this later in the thing, to class 1. There are 2 attesting environments. There's evidence, looks exactly the same going up, but the difference is that the lead verifier is going to reach out to component things. I think we're actually going to switch the component verifier to have a component verifier B and a component verifier C, so it's clear that there are 2 other ones. In particular, also, if your evidence contains any PII, which you don't want the lead verifier to see, then you would have to encrypt it to that appropriate component verifier, which means that you would need to know which one was picked. Because if you encrypt it to the wrong one, it doesn't work, right? Okay, that way. So one of the examples of this, which we discussed and whatever is, yeah, your CPU comes up, your GPU comes up, and the GPU has its own testing environment because it has its own root of trust internally, generates things, whatever. And as was discussed earlier, maybe the policies about that device are not disclosed to you. So you have to go back to the manufacturer who has whoever the golden entity is that has the right policy. So that's why you might do this instead of the one. Okay, passport model. Again, 2 line cards, you can think of it. Now, however, the lead attester reaches out directly to the component verifiers, receives attestation results back. That means they're signed by a different entity, potentially one that's more trustworthy, maybe one that is less interested in your privacy. I don't know. But that decision as to who to go out to is now the decision made by the chassis or the lead attester, not by the lead verifier. So what goes up is now evidence plus 2 attestation results. So it looks a lot more like class 2 that we saw, but it's not identical. So then we have this thing that I couldn't understand for a while, and I thank my co-authors for writing the points here, that we have a scenario where we have 2 attesting environments, and the answer is, why is that happening? Oh, well, for example, a system with a built-in root of trust on the CPU, so you could do a little bit of secure boot to get to some point, but that system is not maybe endorsed well, and so you have a TPM as well. So there's a bunch of back and forth. So a hardware PPM plus a VTPM or a TEE or something like this. And you may actually go and collect some of the claims with one environment, pass them to the other environment, and then process them. And if you have a lot of questions on this one, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to answer them all, but the co-authors are very clear on it. Then we have the realization that each one of the attesting environments that I described could in self be one of these diagrams as well. So there's different ways of composing this, and you know, you can expect recursion, but obviously not, I hope, infinite. Okay, so this is all the diagrams on one page. I'm sorry if it's too hard to read. You know, I'd move them around specifically so that I know I can point here, but no one else will see that remotely. Class 1 and class 3B, they look kind of same, don't they? Right? They have 3 sets of evidence. They have 2 attesters. They go up. The only real difference is what the verifier is. Class 2 and class 3P, they also look similar. They have attestation results here and here, and they're signed by something not the attester A. So attester A is not signing, well, it is in class 2. It signs the attestation results, but not the evidence. So one of the questions is, well, are these redundant? Are these regenerate? Should we describe them as a single class or not? I'm open to debate. Are these complete? My guess is there's 2 that someone out there is thinking about, and you're like, well, how does my thing go into this? And the answer is probably we missed it. So please write an email that says, explains your stuff, or send a pull request or something like this for that. So if you feel strongly that 2 and 3P should be somehow collapsed, then please send some text that explains how we should then distinguish them in some way, or maybe we should not. And I would feel weird if we merged 2 of these, 2 and 3P and not 1 and 3B, but if that makes sense, then let's do that. The goal here is to have taxonomy that people like multi-verifiers and other people can speak about, and to say, well, no, of course it doesn't apply to that environment, it applies to some other environment. The long thread about PKIC's evidence and HSMs and whatever, in some sense, fits into this. The class is not well explained at this point. And that's it. So we're not going to adopt until we get the things out, but there. I know there's a one for hypervisor plus VM. Okay. I just don't know what it looks like yet. And yet it's the one I probably care the most about. Okay. And that's it. I think that's it. Yeah. 13. Yeah. Have I run out of time? No, I got 9 minutes. Okay.
9 minutes. Yep.
Any questions at the microphone? Yeah.
We have Yogesh.
Yogesh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, well, not really question, but just wanted to kind of update the group here. We have like 69 audience here. So I just wanted to say that we have been driving, me and Michael have been driving this in the RATS mailing list, as well as having bi-weekly calls on this. And there has been a very sufficient, very wide interest from different organizations and different teams. So thank you all who joined and contributed to and motivated for this work. Well, I wanted to acknowledge their contribution. Thank you.
Some of the calls were, I would
Thanks,
say,
Yogesh.
unwieldy even.
Jun?
Hello. So I have some suggestions. Actually, I think that for all these classes can be represented in a more easy way. So for example, we can see that for the attestation environment, it collects something from itself. It can be nothing, or can be the claim by itself, or can be the evidence attestation result of itself. And for others, it can claim nothing, or for the claims, and then from the evidence and attestation result. So actually, you can see is the product of the two sets, so that we can have all these classes. And for some class, we can create some subclass. So like you see that, okay, for the class 2 and 3P is similar, for the class 1 and the class 3B is similar. So they will be a subclass. So this is more easy to distinguish between, and we have listed all the possible classes in that way.
So what I'm hearing you to say, and if I could make an analogy to the previous century of chemistry and physics, what we're looking at here is atoms and arguing about why the electron configurations are different. And we should really be talking about protons and neutrons instead. So pieces within this would now distinguish, would be the distinguishing points. Is that what I think you're saying? We need to go down a level to break this up into a different set of categories.
Okay.
Maybe my analogy didn't help anybody, but maybe it made it worse. Okay. So, but that I think is what you're saying, is that we need to break it apart so that we can better categorize this. And I'm seeing a nodding into the audience. I don't know what to call them. I'm happy to go there. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So another question is that, do you think that for some classes, for example, if we have two attestation environment and they can connect to the same verifier or different verifier, so this will be kind of class or not?
I can answer that because that was me adding it. So that's the way how you actually present the evidence very much depends on the configuration of that particular attester, which is the primary attesting environment, which is the secondary attesting environment, and how you present the evidence. It can potentially be consumed by one of the verifiers in the ecosystem. So that really depends upon a specific deployment. We cannot really put anything of that into the document.
Okay, thank you.
And I see the diagram of class 4 on this slide is not the same as in the other slide, and this slide is wrong.
Yeah, I was not. I was silent in mentioning that, but please, that's fine.
It should be this diagram with the partial evidence that I drew wrong and then we fixed, right? So there you go. Anyone else? There's some other people in the queue. I don't know who else.
Next.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are several problems in the classes. We have discussed those. So, but anyway, I want to support this work independent of there are problems. So we are, I think, in the right path. The meetings are going well. The design meetings bi-weekly are on the right path. The figures have given us the right level of discussion that I would have liked to have. And I think this work is progressing well. That's what I wanted to emphasize.
So you could send diagrams. I use some program called ASCII-O. It's very nice, but you can send ASCII art or SVGs or pencil scribbles on the something. I actually think that we've been most productive simply arguing over the labeling of the diagrams during the calls. and then we get the text right or not afterwards, because the diagram basically either speaks to what you're talking about or it doesn't. Right.
Hank.
Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, this all kind of holds together for me. Although when I start thinking about the reality of some really complicated things like what goes on inside a mobile phone, I kind of like, seems like this is way too simple. And so I'm not quite sure where I'm going here, but it seems like you need a paragraph at the end of all of this that there are probably a lot of other models out here that are valid and secure and work. And this is not intended to be like a taxonomy that everything has to fit into or
Sure.
something like that. Just because these things have a way to metastasize. I mean, I feel a little bit about background and passport models that way too. That I mean, I've never really been excited about them one way or the other, because I think that the world is way more complicated than that and stuff. But
So I agree with you. The
Yeah.
goal is not to cover every single base. I think that's actually a pathology that taxonomists get into. Okay. But to acknowledge that what we're trying to do is lasso the 90%.
yeah,
Okay. And having done that, that allows us to at least say,
yeah,
yes, I have this example. It looks like class 1, but it's not
yeah.
because XYZ. And mobile phones, I would think that would be class 2, but I don't know. You can
but
tell me later.
the number of CPUs and subsystems in a mobile phone is like hundreds. And they have security characteristics for different things, and it's
That have a testing environment?
probably a dozen.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
what I
it's-
think they're
It's
just
a,
class.
it's a
Right.
combination of turtles and
Yeah,
classes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, I actually agree with what you're saying, and I'm glad you're doing the work, because this stuff is hard to get your head around, and it's good to have some prototypes that to sort of base yourself off of. So thank you.
So, and through this, I still don't have a class that I think adequately describes the work that we're trying to do in Nazar, which I'm still not actually sure where to put this, and that the hypervisor plus VM actually also, I have a problem with that. And I actually think that the more I think about it, the more I think that it's impossible to do trustworthiness, but we'll see. Okay. Anyone else in the queue? Must be
Thomas.
Thomas. There we go.
Thomas is there, yeah.
Right. So, well, I hate taxonomies, right? But I think this work is very, very important. So, but I see this as a first pass, and as you said before, and I agree with June and Lawrence. I think we and you and your analogy, the physics analogy, that we should go down one level and identify the fundamental components that then help us. Understand the reality and how these components can be combined in very different patterns, because the patterns are infinite potentially. So I don't think it makes sense to have 9, 10 or 900 different diagrams, but in the end. But this is an excellent exercise that we should continue doing, and is also helping us trying to understand the dual part, which is the verification side of things, where we have to deal with evidence that is complex and made of things that need to be fully understood in order to to make the appraisal something that makes sense. So keep on going. That's my message.
I just realized one detail that is that we wrote verifier in all these boxes, but it could be a background check. It could really be the relying party you're sending that to that then goes to a verifier, but it's outside of the lead attester, the attester box. So we don't care, right? It's what leads. Yeah. What matters is what goes on that arc up there. I think, but okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. So the schedule has been maintained by, I think, Yogesh, and he's posted to the mailing lists, things like that. Please come if you like. The GitHub is there, and I don't think we're going to rush through this very, some point. Oh, there you go. Next person.
All right. Thank you. Next presentation. Thanks for staying on time.
Is it Usama?
We'll see.
See what Ned does for us, right?
All right, it's
No, it's
10.
Ken.
Yep, Ken.
Hello,
Takayama.
everyone. Can you hear me?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, please give me the slide control. Can I ask? Oh.
Do you have it? You should have it.
Oh.
Should see a bunch of numbers across the bottom of the slide deck.
Slide deck. Okay, yeah, now I got it, I think. Yes,
Thanks,
it
Ken.
works. Thank you. Yeah, my name is Ken Takayama. I'd like to briefly share the results of our hackathon, secure software provisioning with TP and Verizon. In this hackathon, we had two main objectives. First, to evaluate whether TP protocol binary of the TIP, the practical viability of the TIP protocol with remote attestation using Verizon as a verifier. And second, to provide feedback on the RATS documents and Verizon from the perspective of TIP integration. Our goal was simple: run a WASM app only on a tested WASM application, WASM runtime. First, the attester generates the evidence, which includes measurements of the TIP agent and the WASM runtime, as well as the public key of the TIP agent. Oh, skipped. Then the trusted application manager receives the evidence and forwards it to the verifier, in this case, Verizon, which verifies the evidence and returns the attestation result. The format and content of attestation results are specified by the TIP protocol. With an affirmative attestation result, the TAM trusts the agent public key and use it to verify the message from the agent. The TAM uses the TAM then sends the specified WASM app. Now the WASM runtime can execute it. Thus, the target environment inside the TEE is securely provisioned with the appropriate WASM app. Here is the EAT profile for the attestation result. It requires CBOR encoding and several EAT claims. We encountered some issues. As far as I could find, no existing Verizon plugin supports all the claims required by the EAT profile for the TIP protocol, and the current EAT attestation result module does not support CBOR output. So we implemented in the hackathon, and some were merged. And this is the architecture of the Verizon, and we implemented here. This is what we shared to the authors. And let me skip this slide. So in this hackathon, we demonstrated that Verizon can be used as a verifier for the TAM. We implemented the generic EAT plugin for TIP protocol, but I believe that designers of other EAT-based protocols can also use it as a reference implementation with minimal modifications. You can try it, try our hackathon demo, and of course, feel free to contact us. Project members Shinichi and Yuma should be on site, I think. Thank you. Any comments?
I just wanted to say a great thank you for the great work you have done. And
Yeah.
you said you found some things missing. So will you be pulling? I think you have merged some of the pull request or created pull request on
Yeah,
Verizon, right?
sure, I will.
Yeah. Please go ahead and do the contribution. A welcome contribution. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ken, echoing Yogesh, thanks very much for updating the ET implementation and working on ER, and also providing these very interesting comments in terms of tech feedback. I have opened an issue to track that, so people are welcome to contribute to that issue, to the discussion around the factoring out the per protocol claim sets into a single or multiple possibly
Okay.
it claims.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Gary?
Gary Mundy, AMD. Thank you, Ken. This is very informative. Just a question. If you had left out if the client, or sorry, the attester had left out the TEEP optional claims, would the EAR profile work without any changes?
Yeah, EAR. So, as we discussed in the mailing list, the EAR is basically not changed, but I would like to request a minimal change to the TEEP extension part. So, yeah, I believe it doesn't cause any big modification to that EAR document. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Next presentation. Is it on? Hit the switch, then maybe someone turned it off. Maybe that battery went dead. It does. No, we swapped.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
We swapped, so now this one is also dead. Go ahead, Usama.
Okay.
Let's not
Right. Yeah, sure.
spend time for this.
Okay, so yeah, I often have concerns about security considerations, and I thought, what's the way to solve it? So this is one way of solving it, which is that I have a draft finally for this, and which says what are the guidelines for the authors to consider for this, and the main aim for this would be kind of giving all the kind of threat models that others can then borrow and can then point to that, okay, so section number 5.3.1 of this draft, for example, we have adopted this specific threat model, and we borrow XYZ section of this draft, and this is what applies to our draft, so as to say this will be kind of a baseline for security considerations that other drafts can then borrow. So not only guidelines, because based on the feedback that I got from the list, there was more interest in the threat model rather than the guidelines itself. So I consider it still as a part of the guidelines. Anyway, so my point being, what disappoints me is kind of these two exemplary drafts, which are saying they are already in the working group last call, but that is saying privacy considerations text as part of privacy considerations, security consideration text as security considerations, and to do as security considerations. And what I would like to do better, Hank has some comments.
Yeah, I don't know why these aren't working group last call. Sorry.
Sorry, say again?
I don't know why these aren't working groups last call. We did not request that. They're definitely not ready for this. And you're absolutely right. And this is one of the reasons. So yes.
I would go ahead to say that I mean we should not even adopt drafts which have such kind of considerations. But anyway, that's debatable anyway. Yeah, I'm not arguing that. Yeah, yeah. Sure. So threat modeling would be something like this, which I have an outline. So that's what I sent on the draft, on the list, that this draft currently as it exists now is meant to be just as a starting point of what the contents would be. And the kind of feedback that I'm looking from all of you is what problems do you face when you are writing drafts, or what are the kind of issues that you have which stop you from writing the security considerations or privacy considerations? And what I have gathered so far would be something like this, which will be that to say threat modeling will contain the system model. And again, it will be exemplary. It's not meant to be exhaustive for all the drafts. It's a baseline. Consider it just as a starting baseline with which you can then borrow or add new things to this on top. Giri, let me finish this slide and then I will come back to you. Then I will describe the actors, meaning that what are the kind of actors which are involved here from legal perspective, legal requirements, for instance, GDPR and so on, and then mapping them over to the technical requirements. And for next, that will be the threat model, which will say that, okay, so what is the threat model? What are the adversary powers and so on? And based on that there will be some typical security goals for remote attestation, which other drafts and other working groups which are using then can also adopt. Based on all of this threat modeling, what will come out will be the kind of attacks. And again, this is just exemplary to say replay attacks, relay attacks, and divergent attacks. There may be many others which will be added afterwards. And then provide some potential mitigations. There will be again some subsections for each of those attacks, which is to say then the other drafts can then add or on top of this, or just borrow some parts of this, so as to make the security consideration sections of other drafts easier to kind of refer to this and have a unanimous kind of a security consideration sections, or agreed upon, rather than using different terminologies in different drafts. So that would be easier for us to kind of follow that. And then there are four things which threat source that needs to be mentioned in security considerations. What are the threat sources? What are the capabilities of the adversary? What are the threat actions? And what will be the impact? I have examples for that. Before that, I will go to Giri, I think is first in the queue. So the kind of feedback, just to while Giri walks to the mic, I'm looking for is what else would the working group find useful? That's the main question. So rather than debating on something is missing, of course, I know by myself many things are missing. This is just a starting point. I would like to hear more. What do you think you would find useful as an author of the drafts?
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Osama, for taking the initiative for this. Gary Mundium, AMD. I would say, and I know this is the first draft of the document, I would say rather than focusing on documents that are in very early stages that don't even have their own security considerations fully worked out, focus on the documents that have progressed to RFC stage, and that would be much more valuable. So
Sure.
I'll give you an example.
Before you give an example, just to clarify from my side, it was just a motivational example that disappoints me. So it was not meant to be that I'm focusing on this draft specifically. This was just a motivation.
Yeah. So I mean, you cited the CoServe document as an example. I believe that's an early stage document that doesn't have its security considerations fully fleshed
No,
out yet.
I didn't cite CoServe document at all. Where do you see
Under multi-aggregate.
Oh, you mean in the draft itself? Okay.
Yeah, but I will say for RFC 9711, I'll give an example there. The CTI claim in RFC 9711, RFC 9711 inherited from from the CWT RFC, which inherited it from the JW RFC, which in my opinion mistakenly said that the CTI JTI claim can be used for anti-replay purposes. That has been a big problem for implementers of RFC 9711, that would be an example of something where this document could say, no, that will not, that cannot be really useful for anti-replay protection.
Yeah, I remember this discussion from EAT. Yeah, you are absolutely right. Just to clarify on your point on CoServe, I'm citing CoServe in my document for a very different purpose that I will come to on Friday. So yes, Kathleen.
Okay, so if the text updates what is in existing documents, then an update document can be used for that. And then if it's for subsequent documents, because we've had core documents go through already, if it applies to the core document, it can be an update. But if it's for future documents, and Deb, you can yay or nay this, my opinion would be that we create text that just gets pulled into the text off of a wiki or into the text of the new documents from a wiki or something, so it can be evolved with approval. And that's what's done for NetConf, or at least it was a million years ago. I don't know if it still is, but for specific documents where you're just going to pull in that regular content over and over again. I think that would be the easiest way to handle this, so we don't create a mess for our AD, because I'm concerned about that.
So, really? Hold on. There we go. Okay, so if you're just looking to build basically a template for security considerations, although we don't have threat models and security considerations, by the way. So a template for security considerations, privacy considerations, things along those lines, I would not publish in a draft or an RFC. I would put them someplace. Yang modules have, anyway, it pains me to say it, they have models and templates for security considerations. It actually does live in an RFC, but it also lives on a wiki, I believe, someplace, and they update it periodically. It can be more nimble if you put it not in an RFC. If it's in an RFC, then you have to go through the effort and the time and the pain and the whatever to update the thing. And I think you want this to be more nimble than that. I frankly missed why you're doing threat modeling here. So that may be a different ballgame, because I don't know that you're going to put a threat model in your drafts. Are you? Go ahead. Look, I disconnected it.
This is Hank skipping the line. Yeah, we did one threat model in Suite. We derived requirements and threats, and only if there was a mitigation to an actual threat, they were allowed to put an information element into the information model. So we did this once, but it takes a long time.
And so it's published, and it was published a long time ago? 2 years ago, shortly before I arrived. Okay, cool. So you need to think about that. I don't know how much time you want to spend on the threat model. You're sort of down the road here on this, right? Rats in general. Anyway.
So is that a question for me? Or
she means you've done a lot of work on this already.
No. I meant the working group. I don't mean Usama, right? So if Usama wants to write a threat model, that's fine. But the question is, what's the value to the working group to develop a threat model? I do see a value to developing some sort of template for security considerations and privacy considerations, especially in terms of, this is the sort of thing we want you to keep in mind so that you don't have problems down the road. That's fine.
So
threat models,
I
maybe not.
suspect from prior presentations, it's to clean up anything before this is too much used in industry where he's found problems, right? And so bringing those threats forward gives you a chance to fix them with document updates and whatnot.
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
There are various ways to do things.
Yes.
And that is one. Mr. Owensworth.
Thank you, Deb.
Did I jump you?
You did.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's okay. You're the AD. You're allowed to do that.
Probably not the first time this week either.
Mike Owensworth. I am a big fan of security. I did ethical hacking for my company for 8 years and lots of threat modeling. I vote don't do this. I vote this is a much bigger problem than it looks. I think rats is a much larger problem space than we think about. I think this looks like a never-ending document. I think this looks like a phenomenal way to burn a phenomenal amount of effort for the return it's going to have. And I'm not saying this will have zero return, but I think the return will be exponentially lower than the effort in. Hank,
Okay.
can you quiet yourself,
Yep, Hank, one
please?
meeting.
Well, that's lovely, but I have the microphone. So my vote is this is a phenomenal way to waste a lot of effort, and it will have some useful output, but not commensurate with the amount of effort this is going to take to do it. My vote is don't do this.
Okay, so it sounds like if there's updates from prior security considerations, it could be a short draft for updating existing known problems. Otherwise, it's some guidance for future drafts that does not get published except for in those drafts.
I would argue here that having a common baseline would still be valuable for all the drafts.
We're not
rather than-
arguing. We
yeah.
are in agreement. This would
Okay.
provide a common baseline. So
Yeah.
I can offline explain more what we're talking about in terms of the structure.
Okay, sure.
And it provides consistency across. It's something that the IETF has done many times.
Mhm. Sure.
Okay, so my comment was if we are starting a never-ending draft, we should not do that, even in rats.
So let's agree
I
on
think
this,
we're
Daniel.
past that. I think we're past that. I think
But,
the room's in agreement.
so-
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think it's useful to have something that completes, maybe not only to the working group, but people that want to take advantage of what is being done in this working group, because it's not crystal clear from anyone outside this room.
So I would argue here, before we proceed with repeating this argument forever, so I would argue then in that case, every document that rats write is a never-ending document. If you see it that security considerations, we are in security area, then we have all these requirements, right? So if you argue that this document is never-ending, I would argue that all of your documents are never-ending.
Osama,
Yeah.
we can I can help you offline,
Mhm.
and we can make this
Yeah.
achievable
Sure.
and keep our AD happy, because it's a really important part of working group life.
It's really the only important part. It's only the important part. So if your goal, if or a goal of some work is to create an interesting and useful template for security considerations or some other set of considerations, threat considerations, or whatever you want to call it, that sounds interesting. And I'll tell you how we did it in Roll, where we had a problem because all of our security considerations depended upon where you deployed it: home, industrial, building, blah, 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 blah. They all have different security environments, and the space in the routing space is always like, well, you know, the routing messages are mostly not authenticated, but they run over networks that are. Right? So what we wound up doing, because we had to write about 6 applicability statements, was that we created an internet draft, which was the applicability statement template, and you can find it in the Roll working group still. It used to get renewed, but it's expired, but it's still there. And what you'll see, it's an empty internet draft with about 19 sections, all of which are, include, XXX, put something here. But the important part is that all of the sections essentially asked questions that you relatively could easily answer. Okay? So some of them was like, which RIPL mode are you going to be using in and whatever, and which other stuff, though. These are not all security questions. But the other part was that because the table of contents of that piece was the same across all of the different documents, when it came for people doing review, they could go, oh, yeah, it's like the one I saw before, and it looks the same, and everything feels the same, and the questions were answered in reasonable ways. The other documents that had, a two-word answer for one question, well, I guess that's appropriate. And others had a 6-paragraph answer for one question that's, appropriate. So that's what I would suggest you do. That would be useful to the extent that it helps other people, as you want to do, produce better whatever pieces you want. So that's what I suggest. You don't publish it as an RFC. You wound up basically reloading the internet draft if you don't want it to expire, every few months. But we also did a consensus call within the working group about the table of contents. And we got some silly directorates who did reviews on it and were confused by why the document was empty. And then I tried to set them all right, but that's all done. Right. So we just have to mark it like, please do not review this document. You're being silly. Okay. Next guy.
All right, thank you. Michael P.
Hi, Michael from NCSC. I think I agree with the comments about maybe putting this in a wiki. So the IETF does have guidelines for writing security considerations. It's RFC 3552. It was written in 2003. It's changed a lot. The threats are different. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It could do updating, but if you want something specific for rats, that might change. So I'd go for a wiki.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. I mean, there
Okay.
is already a lot of considerations, but they are not applicable for rats. This
So-
is very specific to rats.
Right. We, Deb, I, and others can pull up a few examples so that you can see the wiki-based model that then that text can get pulled into new documents, right? And then that typically, once it's formalized, it requires review for updates. And usually there could be like a section that's variable for anything that's specific to that particular document, but the standard text gets used again and again and again once it's formalized. But
Sure.
if existing documents have problems, then we can do an updates document.
Right.
I think that's the
Are you in
end
the
of
queue?
the queue because we locked it. And we can move to open mic. We have about 4 minutes left. So if you want to discuss this still, that's fine. But if you have another topic, we can cover that too.
So are you asking me or the working group?
The working group, we're
Okay,
into their time.
Yeah.
Thank
Hank?
you. That was a useful discussion. I think we have a good go forward. Hank?
Yeah, okay. Hi, this is Hank with a different topic. I think that's important to highlight. I would like to give us micro update on the reference interaction model, which is past a relatively old working group last call. And we addressed basically all the issues we thought, but there is a different thread from the shepherd. We were just sorry. So we overlooked the Shepherd review, and there's a reply to the Shepherd review from Carl, and these are unaddressed. So we will have to address those, and we apologize for being a little bit stupid to filter email, right? So that was not so smart. And I think Usama filed 2 issues, which are both addressed, and now there's a very new issue of the rest. And if you could just suggest text for that, we can expedite also that a little bit. I think it's the only remaining issue on the tracker at the moment, so that would be really nice. And now Deb stands behind me, and I will give her some time.
Okay, thank you.
So the conceptual message wrapper draft that's that I have that's been through IETF last call, maybe? Can you look that up? Because
I
I
think
closed my
so.
laptop down. Okay, so I'm waiting on the authors to update it so I can put it into the telechat. Do we have a status on this and what the plan is?
Thomas, go ahead.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. We have addressed, we think, all the review comments and merged the relevant PRs. We haven't yet published 19 or 20, whatever the next version is.
But
I
I
think
saw
we
that
could
you replied to the Generate review or the
Yeah.
Peter Lee's review.
Peter,
right.
yeah. I replied. Well, actually, I fixed all the comments that he had, and I asked one question related to the very first he had, but he didn't come back to me. So I'm not sure.
He's here, right? So it's meeting week, right? Which makes it difficult. So ping him again, and just in case he missed it.
Yeah, or maybe Hank can get hold of him and ask directly.
What does that mean? You tried. Oh, do you want me to ask him? I can do that. I can say, Thomas sent you a message. Did you see it? I know
Yeah.
that, but Thomas sent the message to Peter. I can say to Peter, did you get the message Thomas sent you? I think he asked you a question. I'm happy to do that.
Thanks very
And then
much.
that's it, right? So you'll issue a new version.
Yeah.
I'll look
Yeah.
it over, and then as long as everything's all, good, we'll put it into Telchat.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
Awesome.
And then Usama, it'll be another, I don't know, 16 to 20 weeks before it's issued, because that's how long things take.
Okay, great. We are at time, and I don't see anyone else in the queue, although Daniel's standing there. Nope, just stretching. So we reconvene tomorrow. Feel free to do reviews with all your free time tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Ned.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Slides